Hi everybody. Let's give things a couple seconds for our masses to log on to this town hall conversation. Thank you for those who are here with me. I appreciate it. Hope we don't waste your time today. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and dive in. Want to welcome you to the Town Hall conversation for the impacts of COVID-19 on Novato Unified School District. I'm asking all of our teachers to take a big risk through virtual learning, and I figure that if I'm going to ask them to take a risk, I should be willing to take some risks myself. So here I am. I'm on Facebook Live for the first time. I'm doing my first virtual town hall. The conversation with you today is going to be based on feedback that I've gotten from over 100 community members who responded to our survey over the last week. I'm not going to be able to answer every single question, but I will address each theme that comes up as we go through this conversation. Some of the key things that I'm going to address with you: when are we going to return to school? Promotions, graduations, testing, grades, virtual learning, access to the internet, food, the fiscal impacts, and how we are cleaning our schools. I want to start with a huge thank you to the Novato Unified School District community, our students, our teachers, our classified staff, our administrators, our trustees, and especially our parents. We've entered into a new world of education without sufficient time, sufficient resources, or training. We're asking a lot of people who have many other things on their mind. I so appreciate everyone who stepped up to help us address this unprecedented situation. So let's dive into the questions. The big question everybody's asking is, when are we going to be back in school? As of today, we anticipate returning to school on May 4th, 2020. From the beginning, I worked closely with our public health professionals. They are the experts in the field, and I will continue to work closely with them on making these important decisions. While it is possible that it'll be my decision to make in the end, I will make it in partnership with our public health professionals. We're hoping for the best. We know that we'll be in a virtual learning environment through May 1st, so that means a return date to classes on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. We're also building contingencies in the event that we're out for the remainder of the school year. This isn't the outcome that any of us wants, but if it becomes necessary, then we will be ready for it. We're thinking a lot about those end of the year events, particularly promotions, graduations, grades, assessment, and testing. I'm going to circle back to these topics in a minute. A lot of community members have asked about closures of other community programs. Many other programs like youth sports have been canceled during this situation. Most of those events canceled are as a result of the governor's shelter-in-place order or the shelter-in-place order from the Marin County Public Health. I anticipate that each of those agencies will make their own decisions based on the orders in a way that's best for them and their community. Another big question that's been asked is, will the district offer summer school, or will the school year extend into summer? I need to share that at this point, there's no plan to extend the school year into summer. We do plan to continue with any summer school programs that were previously scheduled. It's important to note that we do not have a funding source to expand our summer school services and programs. We don't anticipate expanding summer school as a result of this at this time. We also need to acknowledge that all of this could change based on the circumstances at the time. All right, so now I promised you I'd circle back to promotions, graduation, testing, and grades. Let's talk a little bit about that. So we currently intend to hold graduations and promotions as scheduled. But there are two things that could get in the way of our ability to do that. And the first is that our schools could still be closed to students. Again, not what we want to have happen, but it's a possibility. Another thing that could happen is that there could still be rules in place, even if schools were open, regarding the size of groups that could be together in any one place. We are committed to scheduling backup dates for graduations and promotions. I'm currently working with our administrative team on those plans. The dates will likely be during the week of August 3rd, knowing that it will be impossible for us to pick a date that will work for everyone. I will share more details with you as they become available. So another question, how are we going to support the transitions from elementary to middle school and middle school to high school? I gotta say, we don't have a plan in place for this yet that looks any different than what it would look like if school were in session. So any plans we make around this will be dependent upon the length of the closure, and we'll know more as we move forward, and we may need to make some adjustments. We'll keep you posted on what those look like. A big question that we get a lot is testing. What are we going to do for those key end-of-year tests that happens each year? So advanced placement tests for high school students will continue. They will be completed individually rather than in large groups. You can expect to hear more information from your children's schools about that if you haven't already. SAT and ACT tests are currently all suspended. They will get going again once things return to normal. And finally, we have the CASP test, which is our statewide test for all students in certain grade levels, and the LPAC test, which is our test for English learner students. These annual statewide tests have been suspended for the rest of this year, and they will not be taking place this year. Grades. This is something that we're working a lot on. This is a work in progress. We're currently working with our partner districts in Marin County, so San Rafael City Schools and Tamalpais Union High School District. They are working with us, with California Department of Education, on this important topic. There are some great ideas out there for how we handle this. We want to be sure of all the unintended consequences of making a decision, so we're going to give this a little bit of time so we make sure that we get it right. Our commitment is to make sure that students aren't punished for this school closure any more than they've already been. Another question along these lines is, are students going to advance from grade level to grade level? What I can tell you is that we anticipate that virtually all students will promote from their current grade level to their next grade level. So for example, a second grader will move to third grade. It is exceedingly rare that a student would not move from grade level to grade level, and that shouldn't be a surprise for anybody that finds themselves in that situation. It should be the result of a very long conversation that got us to that point. Another question, how are we addressing student learning during this time? We're addressing student learning in a couple of different ways. In grades TK through 2, we are currently working under a system where teachers are preparing packets that are being provided to students. And then teachers are also checking in with students to make sure that they're doing all right, make sure that they're maintaining that relationship between student and teacher. We are working to transition our second graders to virtual learning. We're having to pull together some additional devices that have been used for other purposes, but we're working on that right now. We're rolling that out as I speak. Measure G, our school facilities grant, did provide one-to-one Chromebooks for all students in grade 3 through 12. We're in the midst of pulling together the other devices, as I said, for second grade students. If possible, we'll continue to push virtual learning for our first grade students. It'll be dependent upon the number of devices that we have available, but we're going to do our best as we move forward. We are actively offering virtual learning to students in grades 3 through 12. This was a difficult decision. Do we launch virtual learning? Do we dive into this knowing that we haven't had enough time to prepare for it? It was a real dilemma. We decided to jump into virtual learning knowing that we would have to do lots to minimize the inequities that exist in our society, knowing that some students would need additional supports to access this learning. Our only other choice was to do nothing and also acknowledge that some students would continue to access learning while others would not. So with the support of our team, we chose to dive in. We've worked diligently to support those who needed additional supports. We know we haven't provided all those supports yet, but we continue to improve each day. We acknowledge that virtual learning is based upon using devices and is in many cases increasing screen time for students. We're doing our best to ensure that all of that screen time is meaningful for student learning. A big struggle that all districts are having is around access how do we make sure that all of our students can access our learning? We're working with partners to ensure that all of our students can access the internet and thus virtual learning. Comcast has been a great partner. They've expanded free service to our community members in need. Unfortunately, there are parts of Novato that can't access Comcast. So to address that need, we're working with the Marin County Public Library, who's working hard to purchase additional mobile hotspots for those students who still can't access the internet. And finally, our IT department is looking for other creative solutions to increase access for our students. Another challenge for access and virtual learning that we're working hard on every day is for our special education students. Providing special education services during a time of remote learning has been one of our greatest challenges, as it has for every other district that I've talked to. Our NUSD case managers have reached out to all special education students and families to help coordinate services. We have found ways to provide some particular services and are struggling to provide services in other ways. More services come online with each passing week. We continue to work with experts in these fields to solve the problems, and we continue to expand our offerings. We just ask that you please bear with us a little bit while we continue to improve these services. So some thoughts on virtual learning. Our teachers, we've asked them to totally change the way that they teach with about a couple of days of notice and even less training. I could not be more proud of how they've stepped up. Many are comfortable with this new technology and many others aren't. They've all done their best. They've worked long hours behind the scenes to take this on to serve our kids. They continue to learn and grow, and like I said before, I can't be more proud of them and their effort that they put into this. Our students. We pulled our students out of their classrooms, away from their friends and from their teachers. COVID-19 has taken them away from their structures. It would not be a surprise if many of our students were struggling with these changes. We appreciate everything that our parents are doing at home to support them with those struggles, and we too are doing our best to support them through this difficult time. Our parents, geez, I got two at home. I know what this feels like. I can't say enough about how this has impacted our parents. We're asking them to support this new digital learning, to create structures, to do check-ins, etc., all while they're worried about employment, housing, working from home, just how to get groceries, worried about their families and other community. We've heard from parents about the impacts this is having on them. We've done our best to adjust our expectations. I just want you to say that I'm thinking about each and every one of you. So another big question that comes up is about food and how we make sure that our community is continuing to have access to food if they were to need it. Our food services program has been providing meals at Hamilton School and also at Hill Education Center since we switched to virtual learning. On the first day, we served about 300 meals. Since then, we've been steadily increasing. Our new average is about 850 meals a day. It's obvious that we're providing a necessary service to our community, and with that in mind, I'm proud to say that we're going to continue to serve meals during spring break. We know that the need will not stop just because our schooling is taking a break, so we're going to make sure we continue to serve meals over the break. Right now, it looks like it's going to continue to be at Hamilton and Hill. We'll update you should there be any changes. Food banks. We continue to partner with the San Francisco Marin Food Bank with the hope of expanding food bank services within Novato. One great source for accessing the food bank is at North Marin Community Services. They continue to operate their food bank partnership, and the expansion of this program remains a work in progress. A lot of people have asked about the fiscal implications of the school closure. It's good to say that NUSD will continue to receive our typical funding through any school closure, whether we return immediately after May 1 or if we're out for the remainder of the school year. But I do need to point out that NUSD had significant budget challenges prior to this situation, and those challenges continue to exist. We also need to acknowledge that the negative impacts of COVID-19 on California's economy will have negative impacts on NUSD's budgets beyond the 2019-20 school year. It's sad to say that it's highly likely that additional cuts will need to be made in order for NUSD to stay solvent. And of course, this picture will become clearer in the months to come. Another question is, how are we ensuring that our schools are being cleaned for the time when students and staff return? Since we closed our doors to students, district custodial staff has been deep cleaning all schools. By the time we return, all schools will be deep cleaned and ready for students to return. All right, so let's see if there are any more areas for me to cover or questions for me to answer. Okay, question 1. If schools resume on May 4, will students still be let out in June? That is currently the plan. We haven't heard anything different from the state. So we anticipate that our last day of school, as scheduled, will be our last day of school. Next question. My student is running out of school supplies. Are there any plans for this? Yes, we are currently working with our principals to develop a plan for getting more supplies to parents who need them. Stay tuned. We'll be getting you more information on that topic. Great question. When might second graders expect to go online? My guess is that this is going to vary a little bit from school to school, but I would anticipate that the vast majority of our second grade classes will be online before we go on spring break. So hang in there, we're getting close. Are teachers collaborating? Yes, our teachers are absolutely collaborating. They're collaborating by grade level, they're collaborating by school, they're collaborating by subject area. As you would imagine, working from home with our teachers spread out over multiple counties, that makes it a little bit more complicated, but they're finding all kinds of ways to stay in touch. And so yes, they are definitely collaborating. Has the school district considered omitting spring break? Yes, we did consider omitting spring break. We just found that our staff needs a break. We also believe our kids need a little bit of break from school and the way things are going right now. We acknowledge that presents some challenges. It presents some challenges for us, but at the end of the day, we feel like that's the right thing for us to do for the community. And then there was a question about, will food continue over spring break? And right now the plan is for that to continue, and we believe it will continue at Hill and Hamilton, and I will let you know if there's any changes to that. Okay, so those are the questions that we have. That's the information that I have to share with you. I do have a closing statement that I want to make. I want to thank our whole NUSD community one more time. I'm so proud of each of you who has chosen to come together to make the best of this challenging time. I hope that each of you will give everyone a little bit of grace. Our teachers are doing the best they can in an entirely new environment. Our students are doing the best they can in an entirely new environment. The same can be said for our parents. Please, let's stick together. We can get through this, and we will. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And that's all I have. Bye-bye.